afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us again on Flipside. I'm Daisy Leo at CTV. And today we're going to be talking about education. Schools have resumed and parents are running Esosketer trying to get money to pay for school fees. But they did not prepare December. We were asking you, but I don't know why many people still did not listen. We told you all to start putting money aside from January 2019 so that by December you have enough money to buy the clothes and cook the food and still have enough for your rent and school fees come January. Some did not heed our warnings and our counsel, and now they're looking for where to borrow money to pay their children's school fees. We're going to be talking about school regimes, how will you make money now. We're actually talking about education today, and we have the International Education Day coming up January 24. Today is January 15, but we will talk about education today because there really isn't any day enough to talk about education. We can actually talk about education every day of the week, and we'll still have a part of it that has still not been touched. We're talking about modern challenges in education, modern challenges sectors the education sector is facing, and how we can tackle it. I have a guest in the house that we'll be talking about this with me, and not to forget that the 2030 agenda from the United Nations is to give education to all, not just going to school knowing how to read and write, but an education that is inclusive and relevant. We'll be talking about modern education challenges and many more other aspects of our education sector, especially in Nigeria. But we'll go on a break quickly. When we return from that break, you will meet my guest and we'll get talking.
Love is beautiful, never with you, not the time to be alive now.
Another season of love and romance is here with us.
Baby, say you there for me. I like it for.
Come, enjoy this Valentine's special season at Independent Television and Radio's Couples Classic.
I'm beginning to fall in love.
Love has never been this beautiful. Show that special one in your life how much they mean to you. Come, discover exciting ways to rekindle your love and strengthen your bond.
ITV and Radio's Couples Classic is an opportunity to make the Valentine's Day as memorable as possible. Date is Friday, 14th February 2020.
Regular tickets, 10,000 naira per couple. Table for 4, 100,000 naira. Tickets available at ITV Glass House, Airport Road, Benin City. This event is sponsored by KC Devices, sales of phones, laptops, CCTV cameras, inverters, accessories, and gadgets. 68 Airport Road, opposite FIRS, before Akenzwa Junction, and Shop 68, Bovizwa Shopping Complex, opposite Urban Market, Benin City.
Local Government Council and a PDP chairmanship candidate.
Special guest of honor, Apostle Dr. D. Agbowanite, General Overseer, Christ Mission Ministry.
Love and romance is here with us.
Baby, say you there for me. I like it for.
Come, enjoy Valentine's season at Independent Television and Radio's Couples Classic.
I'm beginning to fall in love.
Love has never been this beautiful. A special one in your life how much they mean to you. Come, discover exciting ways to rekindle your love and strengthen your bond.
ITV and Radio's Couples Classic is an opportunity to make the Valentine's Day as memorable as possible. It's Friday, 14th February 2020. This edition promises to bring a fresh start to your connection with love games lined up all for you.
ITV Radio Couple.
Fire up your love life.
All right, thank you so much. We apologize for that breaking transmission. We had a technical hitch, but we'll fix this and we're ready to talk. My name is Daisy Leo Asikidi, for those who do not know. And today's edition of the show, we're talking about tackling modern challenges in education. Tackling modern educational challenges. I have a guest in the house. He's a teacher. You've seen him on the show before, especially when we talked about youth. a matter relating to youth. I don't think that's the only time you've been here.
Only here for the sex for grades.
Sex for grades, yes, you were also here. Okay, I'm talking about Raymond Omorube. Good to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Daisy.
Okay, you have to run out of the classroom to be here. School have resumed, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, UNESCO, it's actually their responsibility to coordinate the International Education Day, but they do this in partnership with NGOs, with local government organizations, and even the governments of different countries, and together they talk about education challenges and look for how they can achieve the SDG 4. Now, that number 4 is actually for education, and their desire is by 2030 that everyone will be educated, inclusive education. Everyone will be educated. I'm not just going to school. I went to University Primary School. You went to Great British Primary School, but education where there's equity.
Yeah.
So, education equity, like, okay, I've not seen this one before. I know we talk about equity, especially when we talk about sex, male, female, equal rights. No, there's no such thing as equality, you have to do equity, but education equity is that, and do you think is something achievable?
First, define what equity is. And justice is within the purview of nature, the natural laws, and that's justice, equity. As much as they're saying that he that must come to equity must come with clean hands. So education simply means fairness and inclusiveness to all that desire to be educated, by means of providing what is needed to enable this person thrive in the quest of Western education. The stakeholders whose onus it is to provide the necessary tools that will help galvanize our knowledge in the right direction to become useful to the society. Where is equity? It means there is provision, there is fairness in the distribution of this provision to all, irrespective of ethnicity, irrespective of your gender, or tribe, or whoever you are, especially in a country as ours, which is a multi-ethnic society. So that is, in simple terms, education equity. Yeah.
Okay. Now you mentioned, you've properly defined it. I remember there was a time we had this discussion here. We were still talking about education, and then we talked about unity schools. We're focused on federal schools, so we started from the secondary schools. I went to a unity school, so it was really a personal thing for me, boarding house and all this stuff. And we talked to a point where we got to the cutoff mark for admission, and we realized, well, in Benin, you're saying the cutoff to get into a unit school above 100. You go to some places like Zamfara, you see 4. And then, yeah, for real, you go to places like Gombe, you see guys 2, ladies 6. So just get 2 and you get admission. And then we were talking about it, and I guess maybe that's where the equity comes in. It can't be equality for us all, because I don't want to use the word that's coming to my head now. We're intelligent people, but maybe they are at a higher disadvantage. More people don't want to go to school in the north. So to create that fairness, you make it more.
I don't want to go to school. It's not awful.
Yeah. Even unless the pressure is on, it's really on now. Parents are expecting new things, a higher, a better result, better grades, new session, new expectations. It conjoins in a new year, so we all have everything. Yeah. So we have things we're expecting. Pressures are mounting real high, and we're pushing those pressures on the teachers, and they're also pushing it back to the children, and so many cases of depression and anxiety in teenagers because they want to read and all that. So let's talk about our curriculum. New schools, new styles of teaching, that's what it's. new environment looking playful, Montessori's and all sorts, more subjects, 15 subjects primary school, 18 subjects, 20-something subjects in secondary schools, and all of that. The curriculum we operate right now in Nigeria, do you think it's good enough, or should we overhaul it? The things we're learning, because the UNESCO says education that is relevant. How relevant are what we're learning at this age, this modern age, to the life we're living in Nigeria?
Well, for that question, first things first, our curriculum is as old as time itself. From the Montessori to the university level, there are a lot of defaults in there. But I commend sincerely the ones from the cradle, the primary and pre-primary, or the KG and the rest of them. They are beginning to, follow the right things that also have been done to our own time in our own generation. Because you now have situations where pupils are given the opportunity to play things, you now have learning tools we didn't have in our time. We observe and see what they're doing, that could help you tailor their life into what they should be in the nearest future. But unfortunately, this is not so much in the primary section. Sincerely speaking, I've been in it, I've seen it. The teaching of curriculum in the primary section is fair. But when you call the part that defines the life of that child, it is basically SS1. That is a huge pattern, that will organize what that child will eventually become in the near future. We look for new school things. I'm done with introductory technology, I'm done with basic sciences, I'm done with business studies. I will start learning things like government, literature. Now, our schools choose to do a lot of skills. You can do both and the sciences. So you need to make a choice as to what you want or what you don't want for yourself. Now, where it's bad is that there are some schools that you do in the sciences, even that came to my center. She had courses in our head. She had business sciences. She had arts. She did literature. She did economics. She did how she got the results clear. Head into if I should talk about that on air. So it has not been of great help to so many of us. And also, some people take the extreme. They reduce your curriculum in FS1 to only arts, or social sciences, or the sciences. And if you want to become a doctor, physics, chemistry, biology, and their likes in FS1, it is not good. Yes, it's such of that. They help you in life because you do not know where you are headed. The knowledge you get in different subjects will help you in the nearest future, even if you're not going to major in them. That's the reason why it is all inclusive. But the greatest undoing of all this is our tertiary institution, basically. It's a mess. Program we call Pascal, programming language in Pascal.
I did it too.
You did it too. It's a good. I think it's a time itself. It does not have any in our time. If you face such a course.
Yes.
It does not that you join your ancestors, you will not even come to your life again. Yet they play God with it. They did in year 2. I have no idea, which I can create 1 or 2. So it's only the one. It's subject of what application it is of our daily life today. But you go to many parts of the world, you see people major on their vocational studies. Those vocational studies, our vocational studies in this country is as good as dead. Manufacturing, fabrication, and their lives, they let them from that. But to BSc, PhD, and in the end, we are okay on with all these degrees that we have. So we've abandoned vocational studies. The focus will be read and write for the so-called white-collar jobs, and that is the reason we are a consuming nation and not a manufacturing nation. So the curriculum is sick, but we cannot lament all through. We must recommend ways to forestall this in the nearest future. If we must achieve what is just analyzed from UNESCO in 2030, our vocational education should be brought back. I thank God that in our state here, the state government is doing something very good to technical school at Obawa here to ensure that place is brought back to limelight again. You understand? It is really me. Everyone cannot go into the book, write and sign and do kind of job. No. I'm born to go into vocational studies. If that part of the curriculum is brought back and is well harnessed, Nigeria will be a manufacturing country, not just a consuming nation. And when we get there, you understand that even in India, in many parts of the world, where they don't even use English, they don't even use English for studies, we have fantastic doctors. When people are in this country, so it doesn't mean you must actually get the English language for you to do what you can. Even deaf and dumb people can go into vocational studies and, of course, come out with fantastic results.
So when you mentioned some sub-courses we did in the university, it made me remember. I knew Pascal was one course I dreaded. And you know, it happened that when I was writing, the day we wrote the examination, it was a Sunday. So we went to church. I was so holy that day. I was praying, you know. I didn't even know where the course was coming from. I didn't know where it was going to. Then some would tell you source analysis. I mean, all kinds of things.
Very, very cool.
But when I saw the results, I didn't get an A. It wasn't a B, and it wasn't even a C. It was a pass. One of those. In Pascal, and I was so happy. In fact, I think that was the happiest result I saw. I had results where I had A's, but when I saw that D, I knew I'd won something. Okay, so, but really, I don't think I would never apply that knowledge to anything in my life. I
don't even remember any part of it anymore.
You just read to pass. Or pass it, to pass it. And then we talk about mathematics. That's another part I personally think we need to review. Maybe science, those who are into core science will not agree with me, but I think math is overrated. I know I like English, so maybe I'm being partial, but there are several parts of mathematics that I don't know why I was taught. Set, change the subject formula, dy dx. Don't say I mean, and all those things, I just don't know why do the things we do. Okay, now we also have a challenge, a modern challenge. The schools are facing now, and that's the case of discipline. This is not the first time I've brought a question like this on air, and I always like to bring it to my show because everyone seems to have a different opinion on how students and pupils should be disciplined. Outside of Nigeria, I know they don't flog. In Nigeria, we use the rod. You spare the rod, you're going to spoil the child, so we use the rod. But not all schools now. Some schools are embracing the white culture of do not flog the child, and I don't think that's the best option. Outside of Nigeria, they do detention. I don't know how effective that is, but my mom would tell you if she had not flogged you, trust me, you would not be who you are today. So what do you think is the best form of discipline for students and pupils?
Really? In our times, in them days, when flogging was official, unlike now that corporal punishment has been removed from schools, unofficially, but not in practice as such. We in this country, we love adopting things that we are not right for. There are some things that are not applicable at a particular time. Everything has its timing. The first man got to the level where he said, this should be abolished. A lot of mechanisms must have been put in place to checkmate such excesses. We have the mechanisms, we don't have plans, we just bring the cases. Do it like this. Oh, Mr. A is doing it, we do it in our own side, it will work for us. When we work for Mr. A, it will not work for Mr. B. You want to understand the environment where you are. A, you say you bring certain as to whether they will work or not. As far as corporal punishment is, as long far as I'm concerned, African culture teaches discipline to the maximum. It's a that day you the parents become the next day. Another day, between you don't get because when you do, you receive more. So we need to do something that is on the book. That's because of the things we reprimand the more. So if we say like this, no more flogging or no more this, no more that, as we achieve what we call more trends or we're playing with trends. Our children, our African values will be lost. The tenet of the African culture because our children do not understand what you do with us. So if you give opportunity, it's an abuse it because we all abuse privileges. So the best way to attend to a child, it is from the home. You are a father or you are a mother, and you do the right thing. Your child will always present you way out
there. And if it now gets to the extent where the child was disciplined, it's a sign that either there's a delinquency at home or your child is not following what he or she has been taught by the parent, because the parent may do their part and the child will refuse to do their part. So I don't advocate that children should be beaten, should be flogged mercilessly. No, I'm not an advocate of that. But if you do your proper work at home, and the purpose for which you send that child to school is not just to learn. In University of Benin, when you are given a degree, you are found worthy in character and in learning. So if a child should be disciplined, I will tell you, I'll give you an example of a parent that got it so hard on a school. What was the crime? That the child, the little baby, little boy, tried to do something obscene with a little girl in class, and they just spanked the baby in the bum, just a spank, to reprimand him. The child went back and said he could not sit down for a normal spank, and the mother came the next day and rained fire and brimstone. What are you showing to that child? You are telling that child that going forward, you are free to do whatever you want to do. It's a free world. We are not right for the standard that the white man practices. And if we get to that level where we can now say, okay, fine, this standard works, then we can adopt such extreme measures as to, you won't dare put a 911 number in Nigeria. Say, if a parent say, hey, call 911, you try it in Nigeria. 911, the traffic will be so much on 911 that children will start behaving as though they've lost their minds. So there's no best way, but parents have a long role to play in ensuring that the pattern of discipline will work. If they do their homework properly, all right, when the children go to school, it will be an easy work on the part of the teachers. Hence, we will not have reasons to even use cane or do a lot of things. We may just use verbal words and, of course, make our corrections.
Okay, now, talking about the flogging parts of it, one of those modern women who will tell you, don't flog your children till they have marks on their body. I did not say don't flog your children. I just say don't flog them. Ensure that they don't have marks on their skin. I really like clear skin. Then, apart from that one, I'll tell you, do not raise your rod when you're angry. Because when you're angry, you can hardly control yourself. Yeah. So it's better you cool off than when you want to discipline the child, okay, this is the force with which I'm going to hit, and this is the number of strokes I'm going to take. Because most of the beatings our parents used to give to us in the day, they were angry. And so when they pounce on you, something hits you. Yeah. Okay, now, so talking about the challenges we had to deal with recently, the students who are preparing for UME, University Matriculation Examination, that exam is usually set by the body JAM. They had to go through the National Identity Number Registration saga recently. It was a lot of stress on many people.
Yeah, it was.
Now, pressures are mounting. People are getting depression. People are getting anxiety. We're having mental cases for teenagers. And
it's a bad news. There will be good news if the right questions are being asked the right people before decisions are being taken. That's what I think. But for those who missed out on the old national identity number drama, you can get to watch it right now. The stress people had to go through. But we also have a good news. It's been called off or suspended for now. So let's quickly see the report on the stress that the student went through and the fact that it's been suspended so that we'll know it's balanced. We're not one-sided. We'll be right back.
Who said they have been on this case for days, said they have spent endless nights at the center or to no avail. They alleged that the staff of National Identity Management Commission are asking them to provide money for petrol to power their generator before they could be attended to.
I was, in fact, not be English. I there around 12 o'clock, very early in the morning. We reach here now, okay, but they still doing for us. They say now only 15 people. Okay, they want to do for us. They say more bad fuel. Fuel, they do it again.
They told me that I should go and come back today by 4. How can I leave my house in the morning by 4 a.m. just to come and write in because of national ID card? Okay, we're here and they said it's only one working system that they have, that we have to go and come again, that they can only attend to 15 people.
I came here at 3 o'clock this morning. Out of 300 here, they are only accepting 15 people. That 15 people now, they said they should buy 4.
And they said that I should walk, I should come around 2 a.m. So I walked from Asoro bus stop down here to 2 a.m. I didn't see anyone.
The situation at Oedo Registration Center is that of rowdiness, as aggrieved applicants took their frustration to another level and forced the door to the registration office open. When the news crew tried to get answers from the staff on the ground, they were prevented from taking video recordings. Some of the staff said they never demanded money from applicants, noting that their hands are tied, as just one functional system is being used for the exercise.
You are not supposed to do this. You are not supposed to fighting. Whatever you are doing, you are not supposed to do it. It's not.
The situation was the same at the headquarters of the National Identity Management Commission off Sapler Road in Benin City, as many intending JAM candidates and parents who brought their wards expressed displeasure over the whole process.
We have been here. This is since yesterday. They gave me this paper. I have not entered. But somebody will just come with one paper or so, or with a card. They'll just let the person in.
They have only 2 systems. Out of 10 they will give to them, but it's only 2 that is functional.
We are not supposed to compare our children to suffer like this just because they want to get nationality.
Commenting on the situation, the state coordinator NRMC, Kingsley Onagise, said concession is now being given to only those sitting for the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, explaining that though equipment is a major constraint, they have made several sacrifices by exceeding their closing time and forfeiting their break hours to ensure that a large number of applicants are registered.
On the aspect of asking them to buy fuel, that is not true. But if they are saying that because there was no fuel, they resorted to self-help, I can understand that. Since the registration for this national ID card in respect of the JAM, no break for any staff of NIMSI in Edo State. So those are measures, at least to sacrifices we can also make to make sure that these children don't go unregistered before the end of the JAM registration.
The decision by JAMB to suspend the policies to allow enough time for candidates to acquire their national identification number, according to the JAMB registrar, Professor Ishak Oloyede, it is also to ensure availability of registration centers around computer-based test centers across the country for candidates who do not have the national identification number to avoid difficulties in registering and writing the examination. Some parents in Benin City described the decision as a welcome development and a step in the right direction.
You sending all these children to go and do their ID card. You know the bureaucracy. Not that the idea was bad, but the implementation, it was too much in a hurry.
Whether they are generating database or not, it's supposed to be an ongoing process. They would have simply just said for intended students, right from when you are entering school up to 3 years after that, you must be registered under the name. but that they just came from nowhere to pronounce it and everybody started running. You're talking of millions, hundreds of millions of children.
It's not the beauty of a policy, but how important is that policy? How does it affect the average Nigerian? I think that's what it is. At the end of the day, is that our problem right now? The answer is no.
Some prospective UTME candidates also comment on the development.
JAMB registration is starting January 13th, and a lot of persons have not gotten theirs. And the time it will take for the National Education Center to give them this number, it's taking too much time.
I think it's actually a good thing because the whole process of getting your NIN, it's very stressful.
The suspension of the process is coming on the heels of criticism about the timing of the new policy. Long queues formed at the entrance of the NIMC offices and commercial banks by an influx of candidates ahead of the UTME examination. Kingsley Uchebu reporting.
Okay, those reports were done by Sharon Ajay, then Kingsley Uchebu. Want to say thank you for that one. So you saw the drama, and I'm sure some of your students had to go through all of that stress.
Sure.
How the way it was handled, do you think that's the best way you could have dealt with this national? Because I know government wants everyone to have the national identity number. I personally registered for it 2012, and I was surprised to get the message 2019 that I should come to Lokoja and pick my national ID card.
As far as that?
Yes, because I registered in Lokoja. But since 2012,
Okay.
I worked there as of 2012. I waited. I left 2014. And I still could not get it. I had to wait till this time to get it. But okay, so the old drama, is this the best way to get Nigerians to have a national identity card with this JAMB issue?
Well, it's proper that we all get NIN, National Identity Number, for the purpose of who knows what tomorrow. It's necessary that we get it. Of course, obviously, the mannerism or the manner through which they did this, it was a mess, as far as I'm concerned. Constraining people or putting people under pressure to do something at a very limited time, was not the right approach at all. First and first, this program or this idea was suspended by the National Assembly, which they are supposed to be the policy-making body, the lawmakers of our land, for God's sake. It's as good as the lawmakers of our village have decided that this issue should be like this, and one single man who is a citizen of the village decides otherwise. They suggested, and the news was everywhere, that the National Assembly have put a stop to this, not because they hate it, but because it's a good thing, it's a welcome development, but for the fact that it is the timing is the problem. You want to release JAMB forms January. You made such a compulsion around October, and millions of persons will want to apply. Even those who are not even writing the exam, they want to also apply. After all, they don't know when they will need it. In the long run, you clustered everything. You make people go through so much pressure. A lot of students, even parents, were under serious pressure to get this thing done. It was so bad that they were queuing at night. You come the next morning, they tell you the list has been torn, that you have to write another one. Okay, the exam you are using this NIN for, you have not even prepared for the exam. The knowledge, the requisite knowledge you need to write the exam, you've not got it. The time you're supposed to spend doing that, you whiled away. And in the long run, many were able to get theirs. Just a few days later, we heard that it again has been suspended by JAMB themselves. It was not proper. They made Nigerians go through a lot of hell. Like I said before now, policies that we make in this country, we should weigh them. We should x-ray them. Look at the timing. Look at how it applies to the common man. Don't just sit in your office as someone at the helm of our affair. Just take a parent decision on behalf of over 200 million people. It doesn't make sense. Before you come up with any idea, do a proper check and balance. Call people, call relevant stakeholders. How do you see this? I think that's how things used to be done. But the JAMB just said, no, it's a must. And it remained a must until just recently. So the methodology they used, come on, it wasn't it.
Okay. And now they are trying to get others who are not JAMB applicants. And the sum of about 35,000 naira is being demanded for you as a Nigerian who was born in Nigeria by Nigerian parents to get
really
a number.
Why do we always make things difficult for ourselves? Nigeria is good enough. We are not just a third, in fact, we are not an emerging nation. We are far from that, sincerely speaking. Our poverty level is so low. We are living below $1 per day. Our resources are not even enough for us to eat. Parents are struggling to train children in school. A minimum wage is not even applied in many parts. Many have not even implemented it. Those that have civil service jobs. Many entrepreneurs trying to survive. There's taxation on top of it. Rents are there. Land use charge is there. Of course, they're even asking people to come and register their land. Very soon to become a compulsion as well. Now you are bringing as much as 35,000. How much does it cost to apply for national passport in this country? That NIN, since you are not a student, you have to pay as much as that. People that we elect into power should also feel our pain. They should know that at the grassroots, people are suffering. There's so much. Nigeria is a country that has so much, and yet we have nothing. That is my definition of this country. A country that has so much, and yet have nothing. We have mineral resources, and you have money you can use to subsidize all these things for people. Then you put a huge sum, as much as 35,000 naira per person. Multiply that by the number of citizens we have in this country. Where is such money going back to? The government is supposed to help the people. We are not the one costing the money back to the government.
And now the people at the head of the fence are going to deny that money wasn't put there. And whoever is paying it is just extorting you.
Really?
And you're expected to fight
I will not have the number
by yourself. Okay, now, we see boil down most of these are problems to leadership.
Yes, it's leadership.
Some quarters are saying that the way forward is to ensure that leaders, before they get into power, they must have a tertiary education qualification. And even in the force, the police force, the military, whichever force it is you want to join, you need to have gone to the university, and that's one of the ways to help us. What do you think about that?
It's not true. About the fact that the illiteracy is on itself, it's not proper that you shouldn't be educated. All right? Having a degree does not guarantee good performance when you're in government. The only one word I can always remember is sincerity. If you are a sincere leader, even if you have primary school certificate, after all, our forefathers, our mothers in the past, our parents that finished primary 6 when school standard was school standard, they were able to work in offices and still maintain, the nation was maintained. As at mid-50s and 60s, before the outbreak of the civil war in this country, the two most educated tribes, according to statistics, were the Igbos and the Yorubas. And these persons, trust me, a very good percentage of them as at that time did have tertiary education. Yet the country was balanced to a very large extent, and of course, exchange rate in Nigeria to dollar was almost $1 to $1 at that time. Nigeria was a better country at that time. So BSc or MSc or PhD is not a guarantee. What guarantees is not even the promise you make to the people. It is the sincerity of purpose in your heart that you have proposed that when I get here, irrespective of who is there, irrespective of who says or who dictates what happens, I will make an impact. If not because of time, I will chip this in. I don't want to eulogize myself or speak highly of myself, but according to the statistics, it is everywhere. I served as a former union president in the University of Benin, and I can make bold to say that in less than 1 year in power, because before I contested, I was told that we are all the same, that when we get there, we will loot and deny the people that voted us in. But I told them that if you have sincerity or purpose, when you get there, you will do something. If you have a mindset before you get there, that this is the blueprint of what I want to do, this is when you get there, you will do it. Until you achieve it, you will be restless. When we got there, I had my mindset was, when we get there, we will do projects that are physical, projects that students will see and benefit. And we achieved it, Daisy. You can take your TV crew to Hotu car park. You see our relaxation center and garden that we built at the tune of 15 million naira from the student union government in less than 1 year. That was because that place over the years has a purpose. People gathered there. Students cannot enter, male cannot enter female, vice versa. So that was just like a meeting point. So we said, let's build something that will be more palatable, that will have respect, when others visit our university. And we built it. It has been commissioned. And if you go there today, you see crowd. People go there, they snap pictures, they relax. That was because we had sincerity of purpose. Our leaders out there should have sincerity of purpose. that it is not MSc or BSc, even the police, though it is necessary that they be educated so that they will know how to treat people in a civilized manner. Because many of them lack such educational qualification, so that the experience is not there, and when they treat you, they see you as if you are nobody. And in fact, the law does not apply. The Constitution does not apply. If you read the fundamental human rights in the Constitution, if we Nigerians can have access to, in fact, we all have access. Just go and check your fundamental human rights. Nobody will oppress you, because there are so many rights in that Constitution that none of us have ever heard of. Police will not harass you, feeling that because he's not civilized, you are not also civilized. So BSc or MSc will not make better leaders. It's not a guarantee at all.
Okay, now still talking about the modern education challenge. There's this particular one that's coming up, and everyone seems to be embracing it: e-learning. Yeah. We're all doing soft books, soft everything now. I'm guilty. I read a lot of novels. I have a library in my phone. I have a library in my laptop. Like every device I have, every gadget, there's a library. And in that library, at least, if you don't find books, you find at least 500 books.
Wow.
At least 500 books. I love, okay, now these books are not physics, biology kind of books. I love to entertain myself. So more of novels, literatures, publications, and then maybe a few things that deal with a lot of things about my job, but those hardcore calculation stuff you won't find. But I really love reading. I prefer to read than you telling me what happened. I prefer to read a book than watching a movie.
Curiosity.
So I think there are other people who are also like me, even to the calculations. People go online to do these things, and more people are saying, let's all just go e-learning. Forget buying books from the bookshelf. You can get these books on the internet, buy them there, or download for free and all that. Do you think we should embrace e-learning to the way, with the force it's coming to us? Won't that also make teachers irrelevant? You're a teacher. And in turn, won't that have its own consequence on the students?
Yeah. Nothing has an advantage that doesn't have a disadvantage.
Okay.
E-learning, you can't stop it. E-learning has come to stay. And of course, how to manage it is what we should be looking at right now. You can't take the GSM from the smartphone from our kids anymore. It's in their hands. E-learning makes us global citizens. E-learning shows us things beyond our classroom. And for you to be vast, for you to be knowledgeable, you need to go beyond the four walls of your classroom. E-learning will never make our teachers irrelevant. Rather, it will make the students more vast and, of course, more resourceful to the society. The only thing is this: it boils back to morals. When you go e-learning, what do you really want? What do you crave for? Almost everything you do in sciences, they all have the practical approaches on YouTube. You can check the videos and have better understanding. Things begin to make sense to us when we see the pictorial version of it. Things make sense to us when we see the video. You know, when you read the literature and, of course, you watch the video, it makes more sense to you. So in moving forward, how do we curb the menace it may cause? Facebook has come to stay. Google has been as old as time. It suggests that they've been metamorphosing. So what is there is simple. Our schools should embrace it. Our schools should embrace it with terms and conditions as to how to help the children manage whatever comes out of it. You know, we are talking about what we are scared of here is actually things that are obscene, I believe. I bet that's what you're trying to say. Yeah. Things that are obscene on the internet and all. Many persons are not even going e-learning. They are going for the obscene ones. So it is help them channel their curiosity. Help the children channel their desire for the right version or the right things that are on the internet. You cannot take it away from anyone. It's everywhere. Before, they were saying the television is the devil's box. But now, people don't even watch TV anymore, because what is in the TV is better expressed in the smartphones. So going e-learning is good. It will help us be more vast and more of global citizens. People heard that Donald Trump was impeached. Some heard, just hearing. But those that went online got to know better detail that, oh, he was not really impeached. It was the Congress, you know, that impeached. Of course, it will be need ratification from the Senate. That is what the job of what e-learning can do, e-researching, curiosity, and their likes. So I don't think it can be stopped, but it can be managed. Situations like that are managed, they are not stopped. You can't stop a moving train except it gets to a destination.
So I shouldn't really be scared. All right, now, the last question I'm going to be asking you is, there's something the UNESCO calls chronic absenteeism. So when I saw it, I felt maybe if you've not been in school for about 2 weeks and that's it. But their definition of chronic absenteeism is if in the full year, a full session, academic session, you miss 18 days. That's
18
chronic.
days.
18 days. That's chronic.
chronic.
Yes. If in a month you miss 2 days from your school, 2 days, that's chronic absenteeism.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
yes, and your parents should be arrested and interrogated.
Really?
For real. Okay, so I know there are people who even miss 1 week in school. They say health issues, or they just didn't feel like it. They did not do their homework. Yes, and so they were afraid to go to school and all that, or their parents forgot to wash their uniform, so they just stay back. So what do you suggest that we can do to reduce this chronic absenteeism? Because we have worse days than these ones you just mentioned, 18, 2 days. I mean,
I'll ask you a question to answer that question. Are our schools interesting to attend? Why would I want to go back to school? What would be that crave? What's that joy I feel each time I find myself in a classroom? Is it that I come to the class, everywhere is dusty and stuffy? Or is it I come to the class and all we do is copy notes on the board? There's nothing practical. There's nothing to look out for. The desire to go to school is dying. Because people now, there's a saying among our youth now, that last school now scam. Do you think it didn't just wake up? It didn't just wake up to say that. It's a long period of observation. You want to prevent absenteeism from school. You create things that will draw their attention. It's just like some churches improvising as to keep their members, that our methodology is becoming too, narrow-minded. Let us bring activities, let us bring social activities together to keep the young people in church. I'm not saying it's a good way anyway, or it's not the best way. But in our schools as well, let us make school attending interesting. What I mean, create infrastructure. How can a child learn in an environment that's as stuffy as hell itself? How can you solve mathematics around 2 p.m. in Nigeria when you know the kind of structure you're going to find yourself? How can the rain, if the weather looks gloomy, you are now scared that one is a downpour, the compound will not only be flooded, the class will be flooded. See, there are a lot of vices here, Daisy. It's not a case of maybe we don't want to go to school. If your school is a standard school and every activity makes sense and there's a reward for academic excellence, there is a reward when you do well, a good reward. Beauty pageantry, we put millions into it. But academic excellence, we put thousands into it. Even at the university level, there's no encouragement. So absenteeism is beyond just not being in class at number of days. The interest is dying. In fact, it's not dying, it's dead. The enthusiasm, when those days, when we look forward to, we are going to school, when we look forward to everything is going to be beautiful, we're going to learn, it's gone. So absenteeism can only be stopped if there's more funding in our schools, if the government, like I said, when we're discussing behind the scenes, that 6.7% is what they are awarded to education in this budget, which is 691.01 billion naira for a whole year, for the whole of Nigeria. Of course, $111 billion is, of course, billion naira is to universal basic education. So what is left? And this will also serve the whole of Ministry of Education. So absenteeism is not as a result of students lacking interest in just learning. It is because there's no funding to make the environment conducive. The learning materials and tools that will bring equity that we're talking about is not there. So people are stranded. Sincerely, go to our public schools. Once it is break time, after the break, go back to the class and come. I served. When I was a teacher, when I was serving, by the time the break is over, the popular language they call breaking time, when that one is over, go and do a head count of your students. It is less than half of the class. Because to them, once the break it's break time, we have closed. If there's something to look out for after that break, the child will not want to go home. Nobody is so stupid that doesn't want to see something new. So absenteeism can only be encouraged, not by parents say stay in class or go and monitor the class teacher or whatever. No. It is as a result of a system that is faulty and dilapidated. Until the government starts looking inward, what is the essence of education? It is beyond speaking English and expressing yourself. educating yourself, making yourself civilized, and not just civilized, you become useful to the society. When you study engineering, your works, your inventions will be of use to man. When you study medicine, you will save people, not forgetting scissors in people's room and stitching it back. When you study this, you study that, you come back. In Harvard University, the amount of electricity they generate saves the whole of Harvard, and they have run the same national grid in Harvard. What are our schools doing? I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, Daisy. So the funding is bad. There are no learning tools. Is it a crime if we have 3D classrooms? Is it a crime if we have a lab that people will love to even sleep? About Einstein almost lived all his life in his lab. That was because the lab was interesting. If the lab was like a kitchen that had no knife and relevant things to cook, about Einstein would not remain in that lab and do the things he did in his lifetime. He was the most intelligent man in a full century. That was the rating of Albert Einstein. He was that intelligent. The man that used approximately 1/3 of his brain. That was because there was a learning field, there was a good environment, and of course the platform was right. Hence he was able to excel. People say Mark Zuckerberg is a young man, he has made money. Nigerians are far more intelligent than almost the whole world put together. Check around the world and see how much we are making name. But when they are here, you don't hear of them. When they are here, they achieve academic excellence, nobody speaks of them, nobody cares about them. But when they go out, they make us proud, and then we want to invite them back. And they will not want to come back. Because the white man sees something in that child, of course, we will not want to let that young man go. So make learning interesting. That's why children want to go to their Montessori schools. Because of the things they see. The playground, the beautiful, this beautiful, that they look forward to the next day. They can't wait to see the next day. Just the way we used to look forward to Christmas those days, when you want to wear your new clothes and everything. But that interest is dead. Because once you see that the subject has been made so complicated, you are going to solve physics, it's not entering that the manner through which they are teaching it. If you teach a child, it's only in this country I realize that our lecturers or our teachers, especially our lecturers, they celebrate when you are failing. It is a sign that they know what they are doing. I told you people you will not pass this exam. How can you be a professor and brag with that I told you people that you will not pass this subject? So Daisy, I wish I had more time, but make school interesting by providing the necessary amenities that will welcome the idea in the minds or create joy in the minds of the people to attend school. You will not see anybody in the street. Everybody will be in the classroom. That's my take.
Okay, thank you so much, Omorogbe. Raymond.
With the silent R.
Okay. Omorogbe, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you
now,
so much.
We're all complaining about our schools, the roofs are leaking. Let's not even talk about government schools. The private schools, people are paying money, and the school fees are quite huge. The teachers are earning a meager sum. Where's the funding going to? I mean, you still go to these private schools and they don't have labs. The labs you find there, the tools are not readily available. Yes, they're not readily available. I went to a government school, a federal school, secondary school, and I knew every biology class from SS1. In fact, from junior secondary school, when you want to do anything like technical drawing, building construction, you go to the lab. In True Tech, you go to the lab for those. Agric, you go to the farm. Then there's a lab near the farm where you have your classes, where you write. Then you go to the farm to practicalize it. Chemistry has their labs, like 7 different labs. Biology like that. Physics like that with the equipment. We were always touching things. So when it was time for your SS3 experiments, nobody needs to tell you because you're so used to it. We need to get the monies and use them for the right things. Yes, our funding is not enough, but the ones that even come, where are they going to? Well, we still have a lot of things to talk about, but that's going to be for another day. We have so many challenges. Hopefully, we'll sort them out as it goes. I'm Daisy Leo at Sigidi. Thanks for watching.